Welcome to the Astrotherapy podcast. I am your host, Ciela Winter, and I am thrilled to dive deep into the inner realms of provocative thought while discovering an array of astrological and psychological insights to accompany us on this quest of self-inquiry. Hello, welcome to this week's podcast, our second official episode, although there will be bonus episodes popping up here and there that are really not on any kind of linear time frame. This week we're talking about the full moon in Aries, and this week I'm also exploring with video. So if you're lucky enough to see this on YouTube, you can see them actually a human being over here. Reading to you from an evening in New York City. This is an unedited podcast. That means anything goes. No, it just means we're doing this in one take. Let's see what happens. So the question for this week is, why is now a good time to know thyself? Has there ever been a better time to know ourselves? Or is that a ridiculous question in that it is always a good time to know ourselves? And if we wish to play with semantics a bit, mixed in with the urgency of our times, then now is the perfect moment. And now is also all that actually exists. Have you thought about this before? Back then, or before now, it's a lost concept. Truly it's suddenly a mere memory from before. And waiting until when, the future, is just a fantasy of procrastination. So now is now, and it is vibrant, vital, and possible. The invitation is ripe, and there really is nowhere else to go but right here and right now. And yet the price of your ticket is expensive. I personally love thinking about the cost of illumination, enlightenment, the micro enlightenments of our awareness that we receive through the cost or giving up of something that is precious to us, primarily an ego or an ego attachment. So right now, it requires courage, willingness, surrender, and stamina, and some hot chocolate. Yes, I made hot chocolate. I know it's not winter yet, but it's a cozy night, and I'm feeling a little sassy, a little spicy, probably because of tomorrow's full moon, which we're getting to. This is the night before, but the moon is full already. So you will have to give something of yourself to be present, including your favorite distractions, the dramas and denials. There is a momentous shift when the mind becomes present, and that also takes some patience and self-compassion to boot. Why? Because when we become present, literally, we become aware of so much more than we were before, and that which we become aware of is not necessarily pleasant. There's a lot in there. It can be heavy, it can be weighted, it can be real, and it takes a lot to be with that sometimes. So compassion for what we experience, for when we see that which we cannot unsee. So what lives in the present moment is much more grand and surprising than the nostalgia and pining over a past lived before, and is also much more alive and innovative than a future only existing in a dream. Back to this full moon. And before we go there, I'm just wondering, how are you feeling? How are you feeling in this Aryan energetic? It's strong, it's powerful. It could be a little bit irritable or a lot. So this full moon in Aries is bringing an emerging message right now. The Aries Libra axis is one of self and other. And the questions that live here and now are, who am I? This is the question of the first house, versus who are we, which is that of the seventh house. So independence, Aries, first house, interdependence, Libra, 7th house. Each one is holding an important weight in the zodiac sphere full of light and shadows. So those of us with a strong Aries alliance in this life, with the sun, the moon, the rising or south node in this sign, are working with tendencies that lean toward robust independence. And if willing, are working toward more of an interdependent nature in some other aspect of their birth chart, which would happen to be across the cosmos from wherever their Aries exists in their chart. So for a full moon like this, it would be great for you to know, where is Aries in your chart? What house is it in? What cusp of what house does Aries rule, if it does? So others, heavily influenced and immersed inside the kingdom of Libra with their sun, moon, rising, or south node, are deeply focused on the we and can tilt toward codependence and the loss of self if not diligent to maintain autonomy in the mix. So their work is to maintain the harmonious energy they so love and exude while having boundaries and clarity of mind and heart. You know an amazing Libra in your life, I'm sure, and they probably are not the most decisive of your friends, but they certainly have an incredible aesthetic and can be quite just in their perspective. You know, always seeking to bring justice forward in some area. And they're quite passionate about that. So back to our journal. Almost eclipse season and some more hot chocolate. How's this going so far, by the way? Are you enjoying these? That's my commercial break. Okay, so this moon is not an eclipse, but it is the opening act to our October 14th solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse on the final Taurus eclipse on October 28th. Does that make sense? And the lunar eclipse on the final Taurus eclipse, yes, it does make sense, but let me just explain. We've been through a couple years of the Taurus-Scorpio axis being activated through the recent eclipse season, which lasts about 18 to 24 months. Now we're heading into Aries and Libra, and we started that on April 19th of 2023, where we transitioned from the Taurus-Scorpio eclipse season into Aries Libra with a total solar eclipse at 29 degrees Aries. And 29 degrees is a significant number in astrology, and I like to refer to it as a PhD level lesson of sorts. And it is, as the first in the series, it lends to a theme of intensity, right? It's just full of Aries. So try and recall what was happening for you in spring of this year, especially in the realm of relationships, and how this context has provided the scenery for some more profound inner work. We are all in the same boat, but with different invitations to learn how to give and receive in right relationship. So whatever that means for you, we're in this until March of 2025. And one of the gifts of the mysterious language of astrology is the undeniable mirror that the heavens provide to discover oneself if one dares. And if they do, may they dance and allow the magic of the cosmos to touch their lives in a way that fuels the courage of true spiritual warriors. And I'm drawn to the word warrior in particular because this is the energy of Aries, and this full moon wants to fight. So beware of letting this aggression manifest outwardly and see if you can work with this powerful energy in a new and dynamic way. Perhaps create rather than destructive manifestations, let's say. You could set new boundaries for yourself in a way that only speaks to your well-being. So here's to the healing that is possible for yourself and in our relating from a deeper place of knowing ourselves. Thank you. All my best to you and please receive the peace of my heart that lives inside these words.